Okay, let's go ahead and get this stock muffler and header pipe off this bike. It's a pretty easy process, so I'll just go through it real quick for you. Okay, right down in here. Yep, you can't see it too well, but anyway, down underneath the main part of the pipe in the back here, there's two bolts. Go ahead and take those two bolts out. I'll back off so you can see it. It's right there where my foot is. There's two bolts down underneath there. Just go ahead and remove those. And then if you go to the front here, okay, we'll have to take this heat shield off. There's just a bolt here, right here by the foot peg, and one back here. Just go ahead and remove those bolts, and then the heat shield will come right off. You don't need to take the foot peg off, just the heat shield. And then the last thing is go ahead and take these two bolts out of the front here, out of the header pipe. Show you what they look like. That's it. Go ahead and take those out, and that collar should be loose. And then you can go ahead and just lift the exhaust off the bike. Go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back. Okay, the exhaust is sitting on the bench here. Now I think there was some kind of a clamp across there, I don't remember for sure. Anyway, go ahead and remove that, and then there's this clamp right here. Go ahead and loosen that up, good. Get her good and loose. And then you may want to spray like some, I like to spray WD-40 or what do you call it? Penetrating oil down in there. I lost my mind there for a minute. Penetrating oil or WD-40 or something in there, so that when you pull the muffler off the pipe, it helps kind of get it off there. So I've taken this off before, so ours comes off real easy, but basically that's what happens. It just slides off there like that. And there you have it. Here's the two pieces. So do that and we'll be right back. Okay, inside the cylinder there's a gasket. If it didn't come out with the exhaust, then go ahead and pull that out. There it is. We want to replace that because that's important to get a new copper gasket there. I think the new ones are aluminum, but let's pull that out. And then what we want to do is go ahead and stick the new one back in there. There you go. Go ahead and put that in there. And then we'll go ahead and put the pipe back on. Okay, next we'll go ahead and put the header pipe back on the bike. What I want you to do here is just go ahead and put a little bit of oil on these bolts here, the two bolts to hold the collar on. Make sure the gas doesn't fall out when you put the collar on. But anyway, what you want to do is you want to just kind of put that on there. There should be about an 1/8 of an inch gap on the inside here. And what we want to do is kind of screw them in about the same amounts on both sides. But let's go ahead and leave it loose for now, so it moves quite a bit. I'll show you down at the bottom. We want it to be able to move around, so we can go ahead and slide the drag pipe on. So go ahead and do that, and we'll continue on. Okay, next let's go ahead and remove the nuts off these threaded studs sticking out of the drag pipe. And then obviously the flared end is the one that's going to go on the end of the pipe there. So go ahead and just trial fit that on the bike. Make sure it fits nice. Okay, it looks like it fits really nice on there. So, okay, what we want to do now, we want to go ahead and take this back off and then put just a little bit of silicone sealant around both the pipe and the inside of the flange on the drag pipe there. And then go ahead and slide it back on the bike. And before we tighten that up, we want to go ahead and tighten the front up first. So, well, let's do that next. Okay, next, let's go ahead and just torque these bolts down just a little bit. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to feel each side. Make sure that it's about the even amount of torque on each side. It's kind of important that we get that flange sucked up kind of square to the cylinder head. And while you're doing that, pull the pipe out away from the bike, because we want to be able to wrap the exhaust and have room to get in there. So don't put too much torque on those. Just barely snug them up to where you feel them tighten up. And that pipe should be fairly solid on there, but don't torque them down yet. Okay, let's go ahead and put the nuts and lock washers and washers on the inside of the pipe down in here. Now, before we tighten those, what we want to do is we want to put pressure forward on the pipe so that the flange here slides as far forward on the pipe as it can. And then go ahead and, as you put pressure forward on there, go ahead and just cinch those nuts up just a little bit. we don't want to get too carried away. Just kind of cinching up just to where the pipe, you feel like it's kind of tight on there. And then we'll go ahead and wrap the exhaust next. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can wrap this header pipe. Now, I've never done an exhaust this way myself, so bear with me. I think it'll work out just fine, but I've kind of experimenting myself here. So, okay, first of all, here's the roll of wrap. I've got about 3 feet hanging out the wrap there. And then what I've done is I've put a wire tie through here, just like this. Oh, get it on the camera. I kind of left it real loose like that. Kind of just loop it through the roll like that. Let's try it and see how it works. And oh, by the way, I soaked this in water first, so it's wet. Go ahead and soak it in hot water and then just wring it out, and then we'll get started. Okay, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and lay the the wrap on the pipe about like that. Now leave about a ½ an inch or a little more gap from the flange here to where you start the wrap. That way if you ever have to take the exhaust off, you've got room for the flange to move there. So anyway, I'll go ahead and do that, and then I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and wrap it around once. See how that works out. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and wrap that, and then I'm going to pull that nice and tight. Kind of move my fingers as it comes around there. Okay, that kind of, I think that'll work great because it kind of locks it to get it started. Okay, then I'll just go ahead and wrap that around. Whoops. Try that again. Okay, I've wrapped it about twice there. Now, basically what you want to do is you want to have about a ½ to 3/8 of an inch overlap from one wrap to the next. So they're about from there to there, about ½ to 3/8 of an inch. They say if you wrap it too much tape, it builds up hot spots on your exhaust. So go ahead and leave about ½ to 3/8 of an inch overlap on there as you start wrapping. Okay, so far so good. I think as I wrap, I can go ahead and throw this roll through the, fit that through the header pipe there. So each time you wrap it around, just go ahead and feed it through there. And then we'll just continue on. Pull it nice and tight as you go. If you do get any wrinkles, try to keep them on the inside where you can't see them. So far this is working great. Oh, if you'll notice too, this is the tan wrap, and what I did is I sprayed some black paint on it. Just kind of misted some black paint here and there on it, just to kind of give it kind of an antique look. So never tried that before, so I thought I'd just tell you that. Anyway, it looks like it's going to work good. So you may want to go ahead and tighten this wire tie up just a little bit as you go to keep that roll from unrolling too fast. So, but so far it's working great. So let's continue on. Okay, it looks like we ran into a little snag here. It looks like it's a little bit too tight to wrap right through this area here with the foot peg on. So I'm going to go ahead and release these screws right here. These two screws right here. There's a screw here and here, and then go ahead and release those so you can take the foot peg off. If you don't do that, I don't think the cable has enough flex in it to remove the foot peg. So anyway, I just went ahead and just took those out, and then I'm just going to leave the foot peg hanging down out of the way so I can go ahead and continue my wrap. Okay, it's a little tricky, but I'm still able to go ahead and keep wrapping this. So you just kind of have to pull the wrap through like we were, and then just kind of work with it as you pull it around them. Make sure you keep these wraps nice and even through here. Okay, I'll go ahead and show you how I'm wrapping this. So basically what you do is you pull it up like that, and then we'll go ahead and loop it through the same way. Take some patience here, because you want to, as you pull this around through the back side there, you want to make sure the tape is straight. Just takes a little bit of patience. Make sure that is about even there. Pull that a little bit. And just, if you get a little teeny wrinkle, just kind of tuck it underneath there. But if you pull it nice and tight as you go, you shouldn't get too many wrinkles. Now it looks as you get down to the bottom of the pipe, you can start feeding your roll through this area, through the bottom section. Just kind of squeeze it down through there as you go, so you don't need to put it through the top anymore. Okay, we got it wrapped. It looks really nice on there. So notice it wraps right down here. I'm going to end it about where this dish is from the bend, you know where this bend is on the pipe here? That seems like about an ideal spot to end the wrap there. So this is the brace here on the motorcycle. So anyway, so go ahead and what I do is I wrap that around and then cut the tape on the back side so you can't see the splice, you know. And then I went ahead and put the wire tie on and I pulled it nice and tight. And what I did is I left about 1 inch of the wire tie hanging out, but I snipped it off about 1 inch hanging out. Now what I'm going to do, I folded it over once ahead of where I'm going to do my final bend, if you can see that. So then when I bend this up, it doesn't leave a real sharp, ugly edge there. I kind of like to bend that right there, just so it kind of keeps it from ever getting loose. So there's the dog barking. So when you do that, and then you can just go ahead and rotate to the back. Go rotate that out of the way there. And I think I'll put one more wire tie here and then 2 on toward the top of the header pipe there. And I think we should be finished. I'll show you when I get done here. Okay, I'll show you how I do the wire ties. I just go ahead and pull it tight like that. Get as tight as you can. Then I'll go ahead and cut it about 1 inch from the keeper here. And then I just bend that over first. Kind of push it flat, and then just fold it over. That way there's no sharp edges for you to gouge your fingers on. Rotate it to the back. It doesn't seem like they're really tight, but they're plenty tight to hold the wrap in place. Space them kind of evenly there if you can. And we'll be right back. Okay, we finished her up here. Put the wire ties on the top toward the header pipe and then down to the bottom toward the drag pipe. Went ahead and put the cable fasteners back up in the bottom, and then go ahead and fasten your heat shield and your heat foot peg back on. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and tighten these bolts up again on the header pipe. Let's go ahead and do these. Let's torque these down this time a little tighter. We don't need to get too carried away, because they're fairly small bolts, so don't put too much torque on them, but go ahead and cinch up each side evenly. Just put a little more torque on them. We may want to even torque them one more time once we start it and let the bike run for a little bit. So go ahead and snug those up a little bit. Like I say, don't get too carried away. Okay, we're about ready to go. Let's just go ahead and finish torquing the screws underneath here. There again, you don't need to get too carried away there. I would say just a little bit past when you see the lock washers flatten out. That should be enough torque on those. You don't need to get too carried away. So anyway, I think that exhaust looks real nice on there. Let's go ahead and fire up. Okay, let's go ahead and fire it up. Don't forget your fuel petcock. You may have to have it on prime at first to fill the carburetor back up. And then also remember to choke the bike and then pull in the clutch. Make sure your throttle works real smooth, everything before you start the bike. So anyway, let's fire it up. Hey, and it works and it looks good, and we'll go ahead and finish up the video here, tighten all the bolts and nuts up, check everything, and we'll be right back.